The Orange Girl Part 2, Part 1 down below. Can I just file to start the process, or do I have to be able to pay for everything up front? I can't believe I married such a dishonest woman. Now that I think of it, the girlfriend before my wife had similar qualities. Subconsciously, I must have been asking for the punishment. No More Nice Guy mentioned some important facts, and one that sticks out is what can I learn about myself during this whole experience, and how a healthy man would handle a similar situation. I just heard audio of my wife telling her friends she is planning on sleeping with a guy on our block, and that it would really mess me up. Stunned, I'm not taking all this very well. My house is empty and all I have is the cat. According to the recording, she is going to leave me with nothing and will take the cat and whatever else she forgot. I got to see my kids today and it was great. For them being gone such a short while, I missed them more than words can say. We all went out for a bite to eat and watched planes land at the airport. My wife has them in a hotel in the city and apparently has been in contact with the boys' school explaining the situation. Who knows what she is telling the school actually. Her story is she hopes a rental comes through or she will go stay with some female friend in the inner city. A real crappy end of the city that bothers me having my kids there. She refuses even coming to the house and wants me to take the kids tomorrow night so she can go sleep at her same friend mentioned above. What have I done that all of a sudden made it mandatory she removes the children from their home and school? She even took them to her mother's to be sure not to leave me alone with my sons. With the exception of last Monday. For the last week she still lived here but had to work. The VAR picked up a call from her mom saying she couldn't watch the kids that day, so she wasn't doing me any favors. I want to confront her so bad right now about the VAR evidence I have and that I know she is a dirty woman. She says she already looked the guy up and he is fling material. My hands are shaking so bad right now. I appear to be in a weird paradigm where seeing my family again makes me want it all back. Like a dog getting beat down. Having my boys absent from my life is the ultimate psychological weapon, and she knows this. Here it goes. I keep making excuses to get the divorce process started because I still love my family, and something in my heart is hopeful that this is a misunderstanding. My difficulty lies in fully knowing this fantasy will never come true, and I am bringing unnecessary pain to myself by dragging it out. And yes, I need so badly to vent. The plan now is to play the sucker with the wife and get in to see a lawyer on Monday. Certain times are harder than others not to act out of emotion. There is hope. I just contacted a lawyer and he recommends a separation agreement. After that he says the divorce is just a matter of filing a few forms. He asked for a $15 retainer. My jurisdiction's court's website states $150 divorce filing fee is required, so is this something I can file on my own and use a mediator instead of a lawyer? Here is how it all went down thus far. After my shift I went out to where she had the kids overnight and spoke with her face to face. I told her one of her friends contacted me once my wife told them of her intentions to cheat. She freaked and demanded to know which friend it was. I had to laugh as she bought it so hard. Anyhow, I went word for word what she said on the VAR and she still denied saying everything. Then I asked if she contacted the guy I used to work with up the street. She confessed she tried to contact him about a month ago. From this point I told her I have proof and know she is lying about trying to start a physical relationship with him. Now her story changed to her did say that she wanted him to her friends but didn't mean any of it. It was sad to see she cannot be honest even if she tries. The whole process reminded me of a misbehaved child that refused to own up to their actions. Her real concern was which friend, sister told me about her cheating. She commented that I wouldn't want to tell her because I still plan on using her for more information, and that we are divorcing anyhow so none of this matters anymore. Funny thing is I must have unknowingly put my VAR in my pocket before I spoke with her and got the whole conversation on tape. Last weekend she told me I was the only one who wanted a divorce and she just needed some space so we could sort out our issues. Now she's busted and ready to divorce. So, I stopped at the guy's place my wife wanted to sleep with after getting back home. We know each other so I figure I'll knock at his door and see what's up. He opens the door and asks me to come in. I'm standing there asking him when he started messing around with my wife. He's looking at me like what the duck is he talking about. Then he said he doesn't even know my wife and wouldn't recognize her if she walked across the street. That he has never spoke to her or anything. Then he said someone tried to add him to their Facebook friend list a while ago but he didn't accept because he didn't know her. He tried to find the request on his phone for me but said it must have been removed. He asked me if I had a picture to show him and he would know for sure as the name she was under he couldn't remember. I pulled out my phone and showed him and he confirmed that she was the one. My wife said she didn't even have a Facebook account. Unreal. We spoke for about half an hour and he took my number down and called me after to say he had no luck finding it again. He is a single dad and his ex I knew from a long time ago. Apparently, his ex was the same way my wife is and would always take off and lie and do God knows what else. After it was all said and done, he was giving me pointers to get my kids back and was being genuinely supportive. I felt great. My wife extended herself and got shot down. Karma is interesting to watch in these situations. My wife is a dirty, deceitful woman and a common skank. I feel bad my boys have her as a mother, as bad as that is to say. My kids are number one, and if she decides to put them in an unsafe situation, what happens will be her own doing alone. She will slip up, and when she does, I will be there. From this point forward, I'm going to use that thing in my back I once called a spine. I will pay for all of the house expenses and utilities, but no extra money will be available. All extra available funds are going into a separate savings account as I prepare for her to come for her half of the house. I was considering giving her money for having the kids, but when I assessed the whole situation, she was the one who removed them, and I'm not going to reward that behavior. Heck, I still don't know where they even are in the city. Unreal. My mother and sister already committed to help when my shifts would prevent me from being at home. My oldest boy doesn't want me to sell the house and believe he will want to come back to live with me. No way I'm going to break my two boys up either. They are very close. In my heart, I know that God is on my side too, and all I have to do is act with integrity and everything will be okay. The lawyer wants $1,500 for a separation agreement that I have to negotiate with my wife, and she will need a lawyer to look it over too. My wife moved into a rental house in the city, and I was weak and went over and had slept with her. Not sure why I caved, but it felt nice to be with her again. Anyway, last weekend I had the kids, and after I spent the night, she confessed she went out to the bar with her friends. She also managed to sign a year lease on the house, co-signed for a car loan for a friend, moved her niece and nephew into her new place, and financed another $2,000 on a surround sound system and TV. All this was dropped on me via text too. Ouch. Now she is asking for help to make payments on our previous financial obligations, put new brakes on the van, buy her a phone system. Not only that, but there are daily requests for stuff from our home to make her more comfortable in her new life. Her take on attempting to start a physical relationship with the guy up the street was that she was never going to follow through with things. That she was stupid for doing that, but no sorry, or I will never do that again either. Now the whole taking off to the bar without me knowing is again my fault, as she felt she mentioned that she had an interest in going to bars and I didn't act on her request. My gut is telling me about her lying about not drinking. Now I find out she is going to bars while I have the boys on weekends. All her credit cards are maxed again, and I have accumulated no debt, but am strapped keeping the old ship afloat. I get confused when she tells me she wants us to fix what is wrong and that a separation, divorce is my idea, and she has never really wanted that. All her actions are saying the opposite of what she is saying. Plus, in her mind, all our problems can be fixed through me sorting out my issues. So today I told her that I want a legal separation, and if a reconcile is ever possible, I will need her to take a polygraph to confirm her level of honesty. As a show of good faith, I offered to take a test myself, but she stonewalled me, saying there is no point in us communicating any longer. Sort of the same thing when I confronted her about saying she was planning on having an affair. She said it doesn't matter because we are divorcing anyway. How did we go from I need time apart to who cares? We're divorcing type of attitude. She can't tell the truth for the life of her. From this point forward, she can lay in her own bed. I told her she will never learn if I keep bailing her out, so I will not help her in any way. Funny thing is, after I slept over, she texts me saying thanks for the booty call. I should mention I spoke with a counselor and she agreed with your assessment of me not establishing healthy boundaries with my wife. Her recommendation for now was identify 5 boundaries that are important to me and my function as a person. First thing on the list was honesty, which made me realize allowing my wife to lie to me is coming at a cost to my well-being. This whole situation sucks, really. My sister agrees that I'm being played, but it's that hope of life returning to normal and getting my family back has me acting irrationally. I wanted to update you all on the status of my marriage. As of tomorrow, I will have been to 4 counseling sessions available through coverage from work. The meetings have been great and have started some CBT to get me back on track. He says I suffer from depression and started me on an exercise program to eat better, to sleep my full 8 hours a night, and to start to take valerian root. Initially it helped, but working 30 hours of overtime a week and managing shift work has been a challenge to say the least. Anyhow, he suggested that I make a list of what I need to stay in this relationship. He wanted 5 things, but all I could come up with is 3. To put our relationship first instead of her or myself, for both of us to stop drinking, and that I would know of any contact she has with any men that is personal in nature. This is where it hit the fan. My wife stated she would do none of the 3 things, and I explained that then I would no longer be in her life. She hung up on me and didn't hear back from her for a couple of days. All of a sudden, she calls me and starts crying, saying she wants to see me. She comes over to my sister's and declares she cannot live without me and that she didn't realize how much she loved me and needs us to be together. Then she says she is willing to do the things I need to stay together. I respond to her by suggesting she make a list for me of what she needs out of me to be happy and stay in our marriage. All of a sudden it's like the woman I married is back. She feels like her family took advantage of her by asking her to co-sign for a car and have another niece move in. Yes, that would make 2 nieces and a nephew that she moved into her house. My take on it is a few weeks is okay, but no long term. Fast forward to me being asked to spend nights over at her new place, which was weird to say the least. Rap music always bumping and two teenage girls with hormones raging and boys wanting to spend the night at my wife's place. I tried to adjust but just felt out of place getting off work before my wife and going back to her house with a bunch of kids playing house. My boys don't like living with so many people either, so we all sort feel displaced by the current situation, but have been trying to make the best of it. My wife spoke to her aunt for an hour about our last separation, and according to her husband, I should walk away. Apparently, her aunt said my wife is not thinking right. Another thing we touched on was that my wife needed me to trust her more than anything and was very important to her. My take is I lack trust for my wife right now. He went on to explain trust is earned and not turned on like a light switch. Another weight lifted. So, I went by my wife's place on Sunday and wanted to share my experience. From the time I walked in the door, she pushed me away and was acting miserable to my kids and to me about everything. This time I didn't play into her behavior by getting upset or engaging, should I say. The whole night all I heard was that she smelled, had bad gas, and upset stomach. No point in showering. Don't hug or touch me. Give me space. I want to go for a nap by myself. I did not play into her behavior, and she kept escalating her display of overall disapproval for me as a spouse and a person. Anyhow, she woke up from her nap and made herself something to eat and wanted me to buy the boys supper. No biggie, I thought to myself. Then she starts scarfing down pizza pops in front of the kids while they are hungry. I explained that I will buy us all supper, but she explained she is not hungry and I need to just buy for the boys. Then she starts doing the dishes, and she was in a state of complete misery for reasons I could not understand. She wouldn't look at me, and it was like pulling teeth for her to be civil. The whole time we were together she was telling me she had a better time with her nieces and nephew than with me. Everywhere I turned my wife was indirectly cutting me down, and on top of that, I could see plain as day she was baiting me to react so she could play the victim card as usual. I held steady and was nice and kept in my good mood, not letting her affect me. So, we arrived back at her place, and before I shut the car off, my wife and kids are out of the car and walking into the house. I was left just sitting there, which is no big deal in itself, but then it hit me. She had been doing this for years and was just another form of her showing a lack of respect for me. Her neighbors were all out front and the situation made me feel crappy. Not getting upset, I come in the house and sit on the porch and notice other families coming home and walking in together and thought it was nice to see. Anyhow, I mentioned to my wife that we should all walk in together. That what she is doing is making me feel terrible. Her response was to ask me where I got such a stupid idea. I explained it was nice to see other families exhibit this display of togetherness. My wife blew her top and said that's my problem, that I expect us to do what other people always do and that we are not other people. Then I calmly said that it is offensive to me and will not drive her anywhere anymore if she cannot act in a respectful manner. She said there is no way I'm going to tell her what to do and that it again is all in my head. This is all making sense now, and can see my wife's pattern of trapping me into a response that triggers her rationalization hamster. She wants to do something she knows is stupid and wrong, so she does something she knows will upset me and then use my response as an excuse to do anything. Scary. So, I tell her I'm going to go home as there is no point in staying over the night when she is acting like she doesn't want me there. She starts getting teary-eyed, asking why I always have to do this. I explain to her what she is doing is making me feel 2 inches tall and want to go home and lick my wounds. Her response was that I don't have to leave. No, I didn't realize I was acting this way, or I'm just having a bad day, so don't let me get to you, or maybe don't go home would have been nice. It never happened, so I left. I think my wife has lost her mind or something. She does not act like the woman I married. The next day she texts me like nothing happened, asking me to pick up my oldest boy from school and to pay her phone bill and make the loan consolidation payment once again. What the hell, I thought. No way am I giving her another penny. She has all these people sponging off of her and she has maxed out all her credit cards again, and I'm supposed to be a good boy and come running every time with my wallet open. So, I communicated to my wife that her leaving and taking the kids, trying to have an affair, going to strip clubs and bars, her drinking, her push-pull pattern is killing me, that her actions are coming at my expense, and that she has to make a choice to put me above her family and friends. I will not be moving on this either, period. Her response was to tell me that I need help and that this is why she left me in the first place. That when I act like this it confirms her decision to leave me was right. Talk about a kick in the nuts. She could care less and wants me to continue the unhealthy cycle forever, so she is free to do as she pleases. I gave her a week to decide, and I'm walking away from my marriage and will never be part of her life again. If she comes around, I will let her decide to correct her behavior, but then we'll drop the polygraph test on her. I will not be in a marriage where my wife lied and cheated on me under any circumstance. What is going to happen is a divorce. I'm sure that I come with my own set of problems and am far from perfect, but I now know that I need my wife to behave like she is married for us to be married. For her not to keep doing the stupid and blame me for everything. The big one that hurts the most is that she could care less how her actions are hurting me. She knows this too, but refuses to let herself become responsible for her own bad decisions. In her mind, I'm blowing it and losing a good woman in the process. Scary. It should be noted that I've been hitting the weights and sport a new hairstyle. Now when I go grocery shopping, I am turning heads on the best-looking women in the store. I catch them looking at my back. Life is not in fact over after all. My intent on the last visit was to see her in the full push cycle. I have been keeping track of her menstruation and she started ovulating a couple of days before I saw her on Sunday too. Her take on it is she did nothing but make me happy for the past 16 years and it all came at her expense. Not a second longer is this going to happen as she is living her life to make herself happy again. Where was I for this? I'm not sure, but okay. I spoke with her about how she was raised and she wouldn't hear any of it. An alcoholic at 12 years old, drinking and fooling around with her brothers and cousins. Her parents were screwing anything that walked too. I went at it from the angle of how me being moved around a lot as a kid and not having a strong male figure in my life is affecting my decision-making process. Then I sort of threw in her history, at which point she informed me her past has no bearing on her now and formed her idea of a healthy relationship on her own. More or less, she said, "I am good, you are the one that is all screwed up." My goal was for her to mention to her counselor that she had a bad childhood and generally being taken advantage of by them. The weird thing is that's all she hangs around with is her family too. She has not had one friend since she moved in. Everything revolves around her family. None of them work and all have sub-grade 8 educations and a huge criminal history. She was raised on welfare and never even got a bike as a kid. It is sad actually that people put their children through hell and back. From a young age she was trained to be her family's servant, but she can't even see it. The river runs deep. My counseling appointment is for 3 p.m. today, so I'm going to inquire about the healthy way to end a codependent relationship. There must be something wrong with me to not be able to sort this out. All I'm doing is raising the bar of what I'm willing to put up with. I have to say it is very confusing to relay a thought about how my wife's actions are affecting me in a harmful manner just to get "I'm not going to battle" or "this isn't worth it" or my personal favorite "I'm not getting into this now" and "why can't you let the past go?" How can she not see what she is doing or hear what I am saying? My counselor also said I was a nice guy and not using it in a sucker type of definition either. He said my next relationship will be a lot better than the one that I'm in now. My wife has been telling everyone in our family that our marriage failure is 100% my fault. She is even lying to her grandma about the nature of her leaving in contact with the aunt. I was falling asleep and overheard her say to her cousin that her counselor confirmed I am a violent abuser and to stay living on her own for at least a year. In her mind everything is my fault even when I don't know what is going on until well after it has happened. At this point I know there is something mentally wrong with my wife. My boys are walking all over her and can now see she lacks the capacity to responsibly parent. Now she is drinking with her 16-year-old niece that is in her care under CFS. They already responded to one community member's complaint against my wife and wanted her to provide a urine sample. Apparently, my wife smoked marijuana with her niece too and they found out about it and were allegations of physical abuse against my wife. I'm contacting my boys' school on Monday to get their attendance and have decided to call CFS myself next time my wife is drinking and release the hounds. Her cousin, uncle, and about 3 other family members advised me to get my kids away from her or they will be stuck living an unhealthy life. I have a legal consultation available through work and will be talking with them on Monday as well. She withdrew the consolidation payment and the mortgage payment from my overdraft and hung up on me when I called about it. Anyhow, I pulled the available out of the account and will close it out tomorrow. She called right back after I did some bank moving. What kind of crap is that? And I went down to my boys' school today too and voiced my concerns to the VP. Apparently, the school was told by my wife that we were all living in the same address. I requested all documents be copied and sent to me and gave them my actual address and phone number. My counselor knows kids are involved. He explained 3 scenarios that are best for the boys. The first and most beneficial was 2 parents living under the same roof working together with a functional relationship. Next was 2 parents not together but working in the best interest of the kids. Last and by far the worst was parents living together in a dysfunctional relationship exposing the children to unnecessary stress. I get door number 2. But before throwing in the towel, I went to a marriage counseling intake session through my wife's work referral. The counselor spoke directly to my wife only and we were told she has only 10 minutes 12 sessions to fix this. She was a complete diva too and was parked behind us in a Mercedes. No wedding ring either. From what I saw I got a bad vibe from the whole experience and what was probably to follow. My counselor made me feel comfortable and said he has seen couples live happy lives after successful marriage counseling. It gave me hope. Later that evening, my wife tells me that she doesn't want another person in the middle of our relationship. Her take on it was summed up as no outsider will understand our relationship or the love we have for each other. I was apprehensive about the appointment anyhow, so I agreed with her about maybe rethinking that particular counselor. She doesn't think we should let anyone in and can fix this on our own. Now I asked her to let the kids come live with me and go to school in our town. She is coming around and has agreed to a half and half type of deal and I will have them back home and in school by fall. The finances are separate now too as I went in and paid off our overdraft and closed our joint account. She was pissed about that one, but it was her former co-workers at the branch that recommended I close the account and close out all other small accounts my wife opened that could be used to apply for more joint account credit. Great service. Our vehicle's insurance policy has all been switched over now. I seem to go into periods of denial for some stupid reason. There is no real excuse for it either other than I must have a serious lack of respect for myself. My counselor has tried to get me to see the light, but I keep getting sucked back in. As for the boss routine, yesterday she asked me to make the loan payment again after I told her it is her responsibility to meet her prior obligations. Her take on it is I have all kinds of money and she has none with racked up credit, so I should pay. Now that she has no money and is maxed out, I looked her in the eye and asked her what she is going to do to pay her debt and still have money to live. Then I asked her if she can now understand my position on living within our earnings. Then I told her in a calm voice that if I keep bailing her out that she will never learn, that she needs to trim the fat and apply what she's not spending to her debt. After this I explained that she is not cut out to manage our household finances, plain and simple. There have been 2 consolidations and she's working on the 3rd and she still won't use common sense. This part didn't go over well with the do no wrong diva. She has given me needed and helpful direction in the past, but she seems unable to reciprocate. Not my problem anymore. She can do whatever the hell she likes with whoever. As a father, I have some worries about putting the kids in the position of deciding if they'd want to come home without mom. Sort of like I'd be making my kids decide between their father or mother. I don't want my sons to be without their mother. I spoke with my oldest boy tonight and he wants to come home. I told him he will be in school for fall and what I can offer is a father and a man. For my wife, she told me that she wants out and will be seeing a lawyer. Okay, I thought, you can't meet your financial obligations but can afford to pay a lawyer. Her take on it is, why am I so unwilling to help her when she needs it? My take is she is taking advantage of me. Who's right doesn't really matter. I gave her 2 options. First one being I will buy her out for the house. No questions asked, if she gives me full custody of the kids. The second option was that I will drag this out with lawyers and she will get nothing and still probably lose the kids in the process. At this point there is no room for negotiation. Unless I get my kids back, all hell is going to break loose and will dump all my resources to get them home. The kids and wife have been back home for the last couple of months. Both the boys like being at home and are doing very well in school. I wish I could say things have been rosy between me and her, but there have been some rough spots along the way. After all this, it would seem that her attempted cheating and actions leading up to the last separation have been forgotten. Yet I can't seem to move past everything so quickly. The whole situation has made me feel powerless to put a word to it. She says I like living in the past and the only way we can continue is not to look back, but feel that we have yet to resolve anything and no resolution means possible future reoccurrences. Her take on it is if she really wanted to cheat, she would have, and if she did cheat, why would she even bother coming back? Crappy thing is she says she feels like she is always walking on eggshells. I feel like I'm grasping at sanity trying to get her to hear me. Really, she could probably say and feel the same thing and it doesn't make a bit of difference. I saw the guy my wife wanted to cheat with the other day, so I triggered about the whole situation. No excuses here, but I can't really explain all the questions that ran through my brain and I confronted her. My whole problem is about her not being honest with me and me basically finding out about it myself first. To me, if she came to me and said she contacted or tried to contact another man, it would carry some weight. But me busting her. Secondly, she says I would not let her get a Facebook account. Either of us had one and didn't know she created one under her maiden name until well after the damage was done. So, when I asked what the reason, she contacted my buddy on a Facebook account I knew nothing about. She explains that she will tell me when I inform her which one of her friends gave me the information. She still denies saying what I have her saying on the recording. I suffer from a terrible self-image, always have. People always tell me I'm very hard on myself and have a natural tendency to punish myself unnecessarily for being less than perfect. My life has ended up in a place where I get bothered by the little things, but this is a more of a pick my battles ideal because I know my core needs will never be met. Now that I think about it, this is very childish behavior. What needs to happen is what I fear the most and is probably why I keep holding out before pulling the plug. That slim chance she has been true to me and this is all a communication issue between us. In actuality, she has already been disrespectful and dishonest and don't need the penetration part to sort this out. Having a conversation last night with a co-worker about his past marriage issues brought up meeting our wives' emotional needs. I caught myself asking him how to meet this need to make my marriage more bulletproof. Hearing myself ask made me think meeting her emotional needs will be impossible with an unwilling partner. I too have fantasized about being with other women that have shown physical interest in me, but being in a marriage rules that stuff out. That was a marriage ground rule of both of us. If either of us wanted to be with someone else, we would end the relationship first and then explore our options. It would appear my wife was exploring her options while still fully married. My point in staying with her is the times we lay together watching a movie and genuinely enjoy each other's company. free from expectations and resentment. These moments are golden and really do love this woman more than I can put into words. Yes, I know, a sucker. What's going to happen now is I will tell my wife how I feel and she will respond to everything with me two answers. When I say that I'm miserable, she will say so am I. When I say she doesn't respect me, she will say she is not respected either. This is incredibly frustrating. She has her personal ill feelings about our marriage and occupies all of mine simultaneously. I can't kick her out, it's her house too. I know her and she is going to ask me to leave, but I've stayed in the house for 2 move-out separation and 1 mini, so nope to that. The road to hell is paved with good intention. That is what I'm doing, and my kids are learning everything they shouldn't. Anyhow, she asked me to leave the house to not uproot the kids. I have been thinking what you said about leaving too. My gut is telling me not to walk until the separation agreement is finalized. She texts me saying she is taking the house and kids. I explained that she needs to retain a lawyer and the decision will be made by a judge. Her tune changed pretty quick, but I really want my boys to speak with the judge themselves, so they can voice their concerns as a battle-free zone. Maybe I am not the one they want as a primary parent, but I have to keep this option open to them. Can I be a mom? No, but I can be a dad, and probably a not bad one at that. She is now cut off from everything related to money on my side. We live in a jurisdiction where 12 months has to pass before a divorce is allowed. She wants to count her last move out as being 8 months ago and she can file right away. I thought to myself, this isn't right, time-wise. Then I realized the sooner the better. The crap is hitting the fan. My wife asked me to make the mortgage and consolidation loan payments today as usual. She heard nothing of what I said about paying half of everything from now on. This bank is closed. Now I'm the Antichrist in her eyes, but that's her problem, not mine. No softer male crap from me. I might end up alone, but at least I'll be alone with my pride intact. She wants us just to negotiate the terms of our legal separation, including custody. What's your take on doing this? I'm worried that she might get the better of me, and having someone in my corner can only help. I am ordering a DNA paternity kit now too, after realizing my wife cannot seem to tell the truth even with trivia matters, so a big one like paternity. She has been taking off on me our whole relationship, and I want to cover my back here. My comment: do you think OP will get her out of the house eventually? And do you think the kids are his? We will find out in the final ending coming tomorrow morning. I need to take a short break to start working on the final end. See you tomorrow morning.